Hello, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. Okay, so the spiritual perspective about politics or current affairs or the tsunami, um, these big public things. Uh, I don't know about you, but I kind of grew up thinking that they were separate and that, I mean, I kind of grew up thinking that there was not like a group conscience to groups of people or to the nation. Um, there was just no direct connection between these public, um, air quote, real world things and spirituality. I knew that a person could have a spiritual approach to the big world, but I didn't really get it when I was little, that the big world has a spiritual conscience. I didn't know that the planet was a spiritual being. I thought that it was just a big rock, right? And I wasn't alone in that. Everybody, that was the general perception. It's just a big rock, and rocks don't have feelings, and plants don't have feelings. I mean, there was, starting in the 70s, there started to be kind of the fringe people who would talk to your plants and things like that. But it wasn't the general idea. And so I the idea that the current political situations have spiritual intentions or points or are spiritually motivated was just not the way you thought about things. And now it absolutely is. So a model for, you have to talk in models or examples or metaphors because language is based on the 3D world of things, atoms, cells, that kind of thing, a thing. And a spiritual perspective is the animating force of things. It's what exists is before things and what exists after things. It's the home that we came from before we took a body in a lifetime, and the home that we go back to at the end of life. So, just in general, the rule of thumb is to get bigger because the story is bigger than you're a sack of biochemicals, and at the end of your life, you return to dust. That's not. It's not big. It's not nearly a big enough story. So when I look at the political things that are happening, and August is going to be bumpy, and it's going to be bumpy for a while. So a frame of reference for what's going on is the question of how do you want to live? And the 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 3D answer is that how you feel about politics doesn't matter so much, or how much power you have is really limited because you're just a voter, and there are those that want to get rid of your vote entirely. And from the 60s, the left would say, tune out and don't participate. And the problem with that is that when the progressives, when the humanitarians don't participate, you kind of end up where we are. And we need everybody to be participating. So it may be our democracy may be flawed. It may not have addressed everybody's issues yet, but that's why it was referred to as a more perfect union. And we were trying to, what was it called? Working always towards a more perfect union, especially since it started out with the founding fathers disagreeing about slavery, and then what had them won out that argument, and they won it again when they created the electoral college, which is ludicrous. So there's a lot of, we didn't get here in a vacuum. We got here the way a person gets to their dark night of the soul, the way that a person gets to their point of having to decide, you know, how do I want to live? And because collectively we're made up of individuals, what you think and do matters a lot. How you operate, how you spend your money, what are you voting for with your dollar? And what time do you spend on what? All of these things are very impactful choices that only you can make for you. And you can best make those choices when you have freed yourself from a lot of socialization and programming. You have to understand that you have a lot of that in your system. In the culture that we live in and the waters that we live in, there's just a whole lot of programming. And if you've ever watched any TV or any streaming or any entertainment, you've been programmed. If you read any newspapers, if you read any commentators, if you watch any particular station of news, you're getting programmed. So that's just how it's been operating for a period of time now. And we don't need to argue about how long a period of time. And if it doesn't ring true for you, then ignore it. But there is a lot of programming, and there is a lot of mass hypnosis and a lot of swaying of people's ideas. And the best way to get a handle on what's true for you is the opposite of dropping out, and is absolutely tuning in. And by in, I mean inward. We're really trained to be outward focused, and what's going on across the street and what are the other people doing, and always outward focused. And it's actually the inward focus that changes everything, and that affects the outward, whatever's going on out there. And the more that you are turning within, the more you're clearing out the things that you really don't agree with, but have been, it's like little algorithms that have been processing in your system, knee-jerk reactions, and what's okay and what isn't, and all kinds of things, especially about yourself. Advertising about beauty stuff is very effective, and it effectively turns everybody against their own selves. Nobody likes their body, nobody likes their this, nobody likes their that. none of which is authentic or true. It's just the way we've been programmed. Uh, there was a Italian architect named Palladian, and his design was favored by the very rich um, English kids on their gap year. This is like in the 17th century, and they would go slumming over in Europe, and they discovered Palladian's building and fell in love with it, which is why so much of London looks kind of well, more European than London than England is. And this eye that they developed, this golden ratio, all of those things are one person's idea that was collectively gotten a hold of, and we're like, oh yeah, this, we're going to vote for this. And so so much of our tastes in the Western world are based on those individuals and establishing it in because they were the landed gentry, the moneyed people, the rich. Their choice of taste became the standard. And so I know for myself, when I realized that a lot of my taste, what I liked and didn't like, had that particular lineage, I was furious. But it's discovering how much more power and choice that you have is both infuriating and how should I say this? Inspiring, to help you go find your what do you prefer, right? So what does this have to do with the politics? A lot. Because what's happening in politics right now, in this particular struggle that's going on, is not limited to American politics. It's happening, it's playing out all over the globe. And it is the question of, who do we want to be? Regardless of nationality, what kind of person? Before we can establish what kind of people we're going to be, you have to establish what kind of person you want to be and how you want to operate. And if you want to live in a world where decency and inclusion and innovation and exciting ideas that are for the good of the many, not the profit of the few, if you have values like that, if those are the things that matter to you most, then there are a lot of things that you're just not going to want to have much to do with anymore. And you're going to interact with them differently. And you're not going to be so agreeable or let things slide. And the more that you are coming into yourself and what your values are, the more you're realizing that your powerlessness is a lie that's been perpetrated on, it's that mass hypnosis thing. And Madison Avenue and the advertising industry has a lot to do with it. And those methodologies are practiced in business and in politics, and in the business of politics. So things are very intertwined. And it can seem like there's a whole bunch of different areas that need to be addressed. And the really important one, the one that makes all the difference, is inside, and how you love you, and how you understand you, and how you take off the glasses of socialization or advertising and see you as somebody you want to be and as some place you want to be. Because I guarantee you are unique. You are fascinating. And there's no one who sees the world like you do. And there's no one who sees what needs to happen. You're the only one. And if all of us are doing the things that we see need to happen with our full conviction, with all of our life force energy is showing up for these things that matter to us. If every individual does that, then things will change. I know that there's a lot of protesting and resistance, and certainly that was a model that worked really effectively in the 60s, and it still does. Showing up for what you care for is even more powerful than showing up for what you're against. And notice just the feelings, the sensations in your body. Anything that you're for has flow, it has movement, it has energy, it's going somewhere. And everything that you're against has stop energy. And yes, there are a lot of things that need to stop. But when you're connected to what they need to stop for, so absolutely everything about Epstein and the lady in jail, that all of that needs to be stopped. And it's not just them, they're just the tip of the iceberg. There's somebody famous who just got sentenced that the Cheeto is talking about pardoning him. The level of abuse is beyond imaginings for people who have never been abused. And we do need to stop it. Humanity needs to collectively say no. And to do that, a lot of people in power are going to get caught, and they're going to get seen, and they're going to get in trouble. And we have to decide, is it more important that everybody is safe and able to be themselves without threat or molestation? Or is it more important that somebody doesn't get in trouble? And when you think of it that way, it's pretty obvious. And the more you think about what we're doing these things for decency, for democracy, for our voice, for our power, for our right to shape the world and that we want to live in, and to shape a world where each one of us matters and no one has to be afraid and everybody has an opportunity to flourish. And there is no huge discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots. We really are more and more in this together. And what can we create? We just had the anniversary of the landing on the moon, and the first time man walked on the moon. And the reason that has had such an impact on me is because I was young at the time, and it was a case of 400,000 people, engineers who, I'm sorry to say, never had a really high opinion of them because I was the artsy type, but 400,000 engineers came together. And I never think of them as having much imagination, but they came together to do the impossible. And in less than 10 years, they did the impossible. This is a huge feat. This is a huge demonstration that anything is possible, especially when we work together. And if we can do that, then we can end war. We can have society without war and without molestation. Molestation isn't, it doesn't contribute to anything. It's not like it has to happen. Hmm. So, um, and I think that humanity has it, we have it in us to live in a world where nothing is molested. No people, no children, no trees, no mountains, no water, no part of anything has to be molested ever. It just doesn't. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, doesn't it sound silly? Oh, well, molestation has to happen. No, it doesn't. Never, ever. It's not required for anything. Um, so the more you're connecting with what you care about, what you love, and you know from how you feel about your family and from friends, that you are really good at loving and you're really good at wanting to take care of. And the more we apply those natural tendencies towards our family, and the more we identify our family as everything on the planet, the better everything gets. So Teddy Roosevelt said, do all you can with what you have from where you are. And if everybody does all they can with what they have from where they are every day, then everything will get better. We are powerful. The lie that we're not powerful needs to stop. We need to stop believing it. We need to stop perpetrating it. We need to stop allowing it. So, spirit is the thing that animates everything. And I'm not talking about religious spirit, I'm talking about energy, consciousness, to be exact. And so there is no thing, even a man made thing like a corporation, that can exist without consciousness. And consciousness can change anything. Is it by magic? So the more you're attending to your consciousness, the more you're attending to your part of the world, the part of the world that you can see, that you physically interact with. And the more you're paying attention to all the parts inside of you and helping them get unstuck, helping them come back to life, helping your whole system become more whole again and talk to each other and flow, that changes everything. And that's really the big perspective of everything that's happening on the planet right now is humanity going to have to get knocked off the planet, or is humanity going to wake up and grow up? And each individual gets to make that choice for themselves. And, it's a living project, so there's mistakes along the way, but you still get to make choices. And you can choose again and again and again. So we'll be talking more about this, but that's a good start. I'd love to hear what resonated for you. Please, take what you like and disregard the rest. So let's see where we go from here. Thanks for watching.